Heroic, and Tidebound. Set to get underway now. I love the fact that we're in a patch that seems to have a lot of versatility, Jonathan, when it comes to drafts, right? We haven't gotten to that stage yet where it's, you know, Luna and TB every game yet. It's amazing.
Yeah, not quite. Not yet. No, there is still room for experimentation. I do feel like, you know, all the clamor pros had, all the clamor certain people had about not being able to track pro games, it's a big part of that as well. Because you come in, all you know is what you take from what you experience in your pubs and your scrims, but it does allow pro players to kind of pocket some picks themselves, bring out some untested stuff. Like, again, nothing to say in his tinker. You know, maybe in your pub experience.
How do you feel about that? By the way,
I feel like it's horrible. It's horrible for me as an analyst in particular, because, you know, there's some teams where there's just no data. They have no tournaments for 3 months. You need Dota Pro Tracker. At the same time, as a viewer, yeah.
Or it's a positive because now you've got a perfect excuse, John, for being wrong. It's just,
I mean, there's that.
How can I be right, guys? I can't watch any replays.
Yeah,
how do you expect me to know what I'm talking about?
And it's perfect as a viewer. I think it's way better for the game in terms of a viewing experience when you don't have that spoiled. Teams can't optimize by stats from what they see in games. You have to actually, you know, get a vibe for what you play in your game. You have room to experiment. You have room to bring out some pocket picks, and I think that's something that we've kind of missed in Pro Dota for a while. You know, it's been gone for a while.
It has been gone for a while, and I agree, because if you think about any other sport, chances are you're not going to see what them practicing, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, in basketball or whatever, you're not going to see them practicing. You're not going to know what they're up to. So it's, you know, I like it. I actually think it's a good change. Maybe not for you, John, but for me, it's great. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I have an excuse. I haven't pulled out that card yet, Mikey. We'll pull that out when the time comes. It's a fantastic excuse because it's right. And, you know, you can kind of work at. Taking a look at the lanes, you saw Gander at mid. Up top, there's some good aggression that can come out here. For the side of, well, for both sides, you have some decent poke again coming out from Planet. I hate Ringmaster to my entire core. Impalement Arts is just dumb. Like, this damage outfit does scaling damage at level 1, very cheap mana. It has charges for whatever reason. It's so dumb. Like, look at KJ. King Jungles is just less than half HP from what? Right-click pokes and a couple of pokes from Impalement Hearts. That's crazy.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of when support techies was strong. Like, you just throw a sticky bomb and then you have unlimited right-click for like the next 3-4 seconds. And there's just nothing they can do about it. Like that's what this hero feels like with Impalement Arts at level 1. I mean, once you get up a few levels, it doesn't feel anywhere near as strong. But level 1, it does feel kind of dumb. Like, you just can't contest it.
It is. It is so dumb. I'd say, you say that, I feel like it just means, it just stays as a thorn on your side for almost the entire game. Even when I play against this crap, like, into late game, I'm like, God, we're 30 minutes into a game. I still hate the living guts out of Ringmaster. I get poked once. I'm like, there goes a big chunk of my HP for no good reason. You know, scaling damage, percent-based HP damage. It makes a lot of sense into Yuma, right? Like, this is going to be a really nice use of poke onto Yuma. If he's not careful, he'll just keep going, and that's something to be aware of. At the least, in this case, you don't really have stun setup for Bach, right? You can't really play with spear aggression, but you can't also play with the durability we were talking about in ET. KJ is just, again, Impalement Hearts up, a couple of right clicks, and he's not really looking to chase anyone down. Take a look at that bot lane as well. You do have Y just chasing Matthew a little bit. This is one thing as well for the Shadow Demon. We talked about how good it is to have with Adusa. It's also pretty nice into Abaddon. Like, just having these Abaddon illusions, getting some right click off, getting some Withering Mist off can be quite annoying. This lane bot is maybe a little bit more defensive. You can use Disruption to set up into the Gorgon's Grasp. Chances are you will just want to farm up here and Whisper. And he is durable enough that Shiro with the Afterburner doesn't really have massive kill threat unless Whisper severely oversteps. Mind you, having Undulation on this lane as well up against Abaddon feels pretty good. You're not going to be slown. Again, you move at 310, but no additional slows from the Withering Mist means that you might actually be able to get away with a more aggressive posture than you normally would on the Dusa in this lane. So far, so good for Whisper. Not too shabby for Shiro, but you're certainly actually not applying that much pressure on that Fusa. Already the null up, some mana regen on the way, going for the typical double null, Kaya, which is maybe a little bit stranger, but into the Meteor Hammer, which we tend to see. And that's to the point where this hero feels like the new OD, Mike. Just Organ's Grasp, Meteor Hammer. It's the ways we find to make use of Meteor Hammer, Mike.
No, don't sound too upset, John. You know, you never know. They might make OD strong again. That'd be real fun, wouldn't it?
Lord, no, please, don't
OD,
say such things.
OD to me is on not the same level, because nobody reaches the same level as Tinker, right? But it reminds me of Tinker. Like the playstyle never changes for OD. That's what it feels like. It just never changes. It's not as bad as Tinker, but it just never changes. It's always the same.
Look.
Someone's
I will. You know, there was a time when Meteor Hammer didn't exist, and OD, you played more like right-click, you run down, I think that was acceptable. It was annoying, but it was acceptable. And then Meteor Hammer became an item, and I think it just became unacceptable. It's not, no. Don't just imprison me and then stun me again, then blast me. No, right-click me, face me, let me hit back. That's what a fight should be. Not imprison Hammer, oh, they're dead. It's like, no, that's lame. It's lame design. Please. No.
Oh, look at poor old Yuma here, top lane, Jonathan. He's having a bit of a struggle. I've been looking at mid lane as well. Nothing to say. He did lose his courier, John, but he's having a great old time. In terms of CS, just hold that thought. Yuma, he's okay. But look at what NTS is doing. He's been doing this the whole time. He goes up to the high ground, drags the creep wave back to his own tier 1 tower, so he doesn't have to contest the Sand King at all. Which is why he's been able to farm pretty much on parity with Analog. And so Analog, he's still doing a great old job himself on the Sand King. He'll clear out the creep wave and just go straight to the jungle and just clear those camps out with Sandstorm. But nothing to say, he's not actually forced to fight the Sand King at all. So the Riki matchup against the SK isn't really working out as you would first anticipate.
Yeah, and that's a big boon. This is going to lead to some decent timings here for Nothing to Say. Already has the power threads done with a courier flying up, and already has the one Wraith Band up. Should lead to some good timings. He's going to hit level 6. You can maybe start to gun for some rotations at that point. You could start to eye perhaps bot, as again that smoke screen can do some work, even with just the value point up here for NTS. We shall see a little bit more of a quiet game. 5 minutes in, no first blood yet. Just very focused on maximizing these lanes so far. Again, Human's been playing with fire up top, but that's normally how you go with Morphling. Maybe looking for an opportunity from Whisper, but the blocks don't quite land from Y as long as you'd want to. Again, just slow pokes and prods. I will say that the fact that Heroic are probably getting maybe a smoother ride on Whisper and surviving on Yuma is pretty decent. Like, you have that slight edge coming out for Tidebound in the lanes. You do have more efficiency for Analog every time he leaves a lane, as the jungle farm is just better. Nothing to say can't really match it up. They'll try to catch him out just a bit, but don't end up committing on the mid.
You do at least deny the power rune away from Nothing to Say, so there is that. It's nice, nice arcane rune being picked up here for King Jungles. Nothing to Say though, still on the hunt, has hit that level 6 mark, so wants to try and see if he can find something, but for now he'll just get a deep ward onto the high ground, just wants to keep tabs on any kind of rotations. See if he can find an easy pick off later on. Apart from that though, I think if you're Nothing to Say, there's no rush. Like, you want at least the Diffusal Blade before you really start committing with your team. Obviously, we do tend to see Ricky's getting involved in fights early if it's close to their towers. And in fact, we might see one now, because Bark is getting kind of pincered in here by Analog. Problem is, again, it's by the tier 1 tower. Nothing to Say is here. They'll drop a Sentry Ward preemptively, but Analog's going to leave the area. It's now a 3v2. Make that a 3v1. Yuma, can you get away, sir? He's got waveform up, and he will commit it to the spear. Just land on the tail end. Yuma, no! Meanwhile, Shiro and Y go down bottom lane. So it's still a really good trade. You still got a 2-for-1 special here for the side of Heroic. They still found the opposing pos 1. I suppose in fairness to Yuma, there's not much he could have done.
Nah, I mean, he was already fully strength morph. Couldn't really run away. Didn't have enough mana, perhaps, for the next waveform as he just popped it. Didn't have time for it. So, really good movement out from Nothing to Say. Maybe a bit hasty from Hero to retreat. Getting the 2 kills down bot is big, but Nothing to Say finding that pickoff is probably a little bit more important in terms of what it does for this early game. Because that is already the full Blade of Alacrity flying out. That's going to be the Fusel just that much quicker. A Gyrocopter, Shiro's just going to be able to farm up anyhow. That kill on Dusa is nice as Nothing to Say's poking again.
Yeah, it is that point, again, without the diffusal even, where you can just start picking off supports very quickly, but they cannot quite get that one. KJ, barely surviving off the back of the disruption of Matthew. But it's certainly not a very nice sign for KJ. Like, he's stuck at level 4 at the moment, and mind you, we are only 8.5 minutes in, but you are already at the stage where this Ricky's going to be a pretty big pain in your backside if you are a support.
And it will be. I think the key thing for Heroic as well is it's a little bit early, but they have to think about the 15-minute mark. They can't afford to give away the Tormentor. Matthew. Bye-bye.
With the smoke screen there, he'll buy himself a spot of time, but he'll cop the whip from Planet. Planet, of course, will die along with him. But it's still a nice pickup here for the side of the Radiant, and again, Nothing to Say being in all these little engagements, John. It's just more gold racking up. He's still hitting creeps very nicely. Diffusal Blade not really that far off now.
No. Again, if you look at the sacrifice of bot lane for that, it's really worthwhile. Shiro, he's still up there, number 3 in net worth overall. Still ahead of Whisper by a marginal amount, to be fair. Whisper also, again, going for the offlane boost. You don't need to get split shot, but he can farm with the Mystic Snakes anyhow. That farm is still flowing the Kaya into the Meteor Hammer, not too far off, just lacking the recipe for both. So you're going to hit some key spikes as well on Heroic. 2 to 3 start, relatively even game. Maybe a little bit sharper on Heroic, but that tempo for Tidebound isn't really shut out either. You're only about 380 gold away from the Diffusal.
They're coming, but it seems like Yuma... He saw it anyway. They have an Observer Ward by the Twin Gate. Didn't spot that out the first time, but there you go. Doesn't really matter. It seems like Tidebound are looking for that tier 1 top tower. The bottom tier 1 for now is going to remain quite safe, because you've only got Whisper there on the Medusa. He's not going to be able to push it that quickly. It seems like Heroic are completely okay with allowing this tier 1 top tower to fall. And even if they're not okay, John, it doesn't really feel like they can do much about it. They've just got to they've got to watch it go down.
I like that steady play out from Tidebound. They just have this sense for the aggression. The side of Heroic, they have to kind of sit back and farm a bit more. Analog already has his blink up. And again, that Meteor Hammer we were talking about, fully done on Whisper. So he can now solo push, as the Dusa can kind of supplement for herself. You've also got the mana regen amp, which always feels good, of course. Just a little bit more to play with the double nulls up. The Blade Mail pickup for Whispers, maybe a break from what we've seen. I think it's been a very standard build-up for the most part, but Blade Mail a little less so. Smoke out from Heroic, trying to see some play with that blink on Analog. It's just that no one's here. Vision from...
Bot lane, Whisper. He'll pop the Stone Gaze, but the arena is going to lock him down, so it won't really matter at all. And well, naturally, Whisper, he's out of mana. He is down. Nice and easy. Bark to secure that kill on the Mars. It really wasn't a problem. Nothing to say now with the Diffusal Blade up. Going to be more than happy to just continue hunting around. Unless he gets caught mid. They won't see him in the Sentry Vision. Not that time around anyway. And quite frankly, with the Diffusal Blade, they may not really want to fight him at the moment. Mind you, Analog does have his full blink up. So you do have some very nice initiation now for your Sankey. Question is, when are they going to be able to use it?
I mean, they tried with that smoke a while ago. They don't have the vision to supplement an aggressive move. They don't really have deep wards. The side of Tidebound has a little more deep wards, although it's expiring on that mid, but they had that good ramp. You were a little bit forward in Whisper. You were presenting yourself as a target. No such mistakes being made by Tidebound yet. They are just kind of standing within their side of the river. Nothing to Say is crossing, wanting to make use of that haste and Diffusal. I don't think he has enough in the tank to really fill out Nua unless he kind of smoke screens fast and maybe has additional control, but you are ways off from Planet, kind of helping keeping up there. This tempo, again, is kind of nice, although
Nothing to say. He's got tabs on Yuma at the moment. Just needs maybe a +1, maybe a +2, but I think one core should be enough. Bark is on the way. Planet is behind Bark. They're still waiting for Yuma to show. Now underneath the T2 tower. Can they burst him down quick enough, though? What a patience. Jump is there. Smokescreen is out, but no. The counterplay. Analog is here and ready to go. He won't really find too much, though. Just a quick burrow strike. Chase is still on for Bark and Planet, but both are on their way out. Nothing to say. Also juking out the Sand King. Not getting hit by the dust of Analog will be okay. But at the very least, they do protect Yuma's life. So you don't lose anything here for Heroic, which is probably some good news. Though I say that Yuma is still being watched by Nothing to Say, but he drops a sentry, and there you go. Nothing to say. He will thankfully back his way out of it.
And that's a lot of commitment to keep track of this rookie. A sentry there, a sentry right by the river crossing area, right by the tier 2. Just to ensure no shenanigans come in here from the rookie. It's a lot of time to surrender, though, on the side of Heroic. Like, it's free time for Shiro. He's got the Chrysalis up. He's now #1 in that word after, again, taking a loss in lane. Not really a full loss, but dying in lane at the very least. Is set to hit a decent Ags timing up. And for the side of Heroic, that, again, they committed like 2 cores coming up there to cover their morphling. That's time where they're not farming. That's time where they're not able to really get that continuous build-up. And that Tidebound is at least getting on their gyro. You do have that blink up for Bach now, so smoother initiation with the arena. If they so wish on the side of Tidebound. And I like this from Nothing to Say. Just going straight into the shards, straight into the Ags. Wants to get pocketed up into someone, have a little bit more of a nuisance with the tricks. And of course, the smoke screen shard is going to be massive in terms of removing save here. Eyeing mid with a smoke.
All he's got is a Meteor Hammer on this Medusa. Not much in the way of protecting himself in this kind of scenario. Still a nice sleep from KJ. Going to make some work happen as now they jump in with the Epicenter Burrow Strike and they are wiping out NTS. They've got him back to boot. A perfect setup off the back of KJ. Y, also in danger, will make his way out, but now they're all dropping low. They all need to get out of there. Shiro, he gets left behind. A perfect Burrow Strike from Analog. Shiro, though, at least taking the Sand King along with himself running away. Shiro actually not getting caught. I thought he was for sure dead, but they just weren't able to get the follow-up damage. So they'll lose their Sand King on the tail end of that fight. But it's still a pretty damn great fight here for Heroic.
And it is. They, again, get the punishment they're looking for. They get the ideal jump. Tidebound, a little bit unfortunate for Bach that he couldn't catch anyone else in the arena. And he only catches the one. Their connections onto Whisper as well were good, but he managed to actually channel that Meteor Hammer and pin down Nothing to Say into the chain control. You're a little bit too far for the escape act from Planet. So the punishment is severe. Like, if you do want to take care of this Dusa, Nothing to Say is a big part of that. This is the hero that you kind of need to follow through from the initiation of Bach. He just didn't quite line up there. You also have to give props to Planet. He utilized the Strongman Tonic really well to give that extra bit of durability out to Shiro. Just enough for him to survive some incoming right clicks, incoming Mystic Snake with no bounces on him. And this Gyrocopter is just set to become a beast. Again, still top net worth. Ags, pretty much just one part away. Just the Staff of Wizardry left to farm up. And that's going to be some crazy timing. You already have... It's Power Treads, Falcon Blade, Chrysalis, and Ags maybe by about the 17-minute mark. Not the quickest in the world, but certainly one that's very nice to play in terms of tempo. And for the side of Heroic, I mean, you've got a Morphle. He's got the Vlads, he's got the Yashi, he's going into Manta. Probably needs the Dragon Lance to get some stat padding to feel comfy as they jump more.
Dude, bottom lane. They've got themselves a nice Sand King kill and they'll take it. That's a big one. Analog, he was the top net worth on Heroic's end of things. He'll be overtaken by Yuma now. And of course, the top net worth of the whole game at the moment is Shiro on the Gyrocopter, who's yet to finish his Aghanim Scepter. But we'll have it up in about 300 gold from now. So his farm is set to escalate even quicker. Nice quick deny from Shiro in the mid lane as well. But I think Heroic will be pretty happy with the fact that they've actually found a way to take the mid-tier 1 tower down. And that'll be about it. Heroic, back to the drawing board, back to farming. Tidebound, they don't seem too concerned at the moment. I think as long as Shiro's got the space to hit creeps, they'll be more than happy to just sit back and try to find a pick off here and there.
Yeah, no need to be too concerned. I think inside of Heroic, they've got the pressure to play a little bit quicker. You've got this early timing in your Sand King with a blink. You've got all this hold. You've got this durability ready to go on Whisper as well. And they are clumping up for the smoke. No vision to detect that from Tidebound. They've got a good clean angle for themselves coming out here. You don't have the full manta on Yuma. There's a minor risk here. But they know Arena's down for a little bit longer. Bach's not even in that area to take this fight.
Here we go. See if they can make this one work. Oh, Shrine... Torment is being taken as well. This is a horrible timing for it if I've ever seen one. Like, they've got to heal up very, very quickly. Because Heroic, they're coming. Wards are down. And look, no! He misses the burrow, but it won't matter. He had the Yule Scepter. He'll cancel Shiro's TP, but the Arena... Oh, it's perfect! It's perfect! Shiro, though, surely goes down, but he's still going. He is still going, finally dropping. I feel like that really shouldn't have worked out the way it did. At the very least, Heroic still winning the team fight, as they should have. Planet, nice tune. We'll be okay to run out of it.
You gotta love all this Dark Carnival souvenirs, the Funhouse Mirror Dodge coming in.
Don't.
I really don't. I hate this hero. With every fiber in my being, just like I hate Shadow Shaman. Still, to this day, despite him losing Cluster Cluck innately, you know, the AoE version and the hexing allies, it's still insane. Still, outside of point, the big thing that kind of broke that for Heroic was the fact that Bach went through the gate. You know, he was hanging in the wrong part of the map like we were saying, but it connected into that gate movement well. Managed to salvage it. They isolate out. They catch Yuma before he can attribute shift. They get the chain stance off before he can start shifting away. And that just left this Morphling as a sitting duck. Again, no dodge plays just yet from Yuma. Does have the Manta Gold now. Might have been better off waiting for that before forcing a fight. The one big blessing for Heroic is that Whisper did soak a lot of that gold up. Did soak a lot of that EXP as he survives through. The durability of this Medusa is insane. And that's going to lead into that Blatner coming out shortly. The wider AoE on the Gorgon's Grasp, the slightly bigger AoE on Stone Gaze is going to feel great. Straight into a Shivas for even more durability. And the answers from Tidebound for the Dusa question still isn't quite there. Right? The simplest thing you have is Diffusal and nothing to say. I think the key factor actually killing off the Dusa is probably control. Because the key thing is when you're playing against Undulation, it's you can't slow her down. You have to commit fully for holds, and you don't have the most amazing set of holds out here from Tidebound. You have Homing Missile and Spear back. It's basically it for stuns, and if you can't kill Whisper in those two stun windows, then the best thing you can do is just try to ignore him because he doesn't have that much damage. That's the one blessing. Mind you, he has a lot of magical damage with Mystic Snake and how clumped up these fights are. So you might be better off just waiting for some debuff immunity on your end as well. Tidebound, we shall see. Despite that, it's still a relatively even game, 8-9. Slight lead at 2k for Tidebound. Analog is in the same spot he was picked off in, but he does have sentries to watch this time around, so not going to be fully punished for that. And you do have some good forward vision here with a ward right by the Lotus Pool. But the big issue still is that Shiro just isn't under pressure. Ags is up. UKB not too far off. Can start to think about the Chrysalis afterwards. Can maybe consider some lifesteal into that point, or a Scotty as well. Doesn't feel too shabby here for Shiro. And the path into all of those items is very, very straightforward here.
That it is. It's a very close game. Just a slight net worth lead for Tidebound, but the game is still very close between these two sides. Now, Yuma still free farming at the moment. Not too concerned here for the Morphling's sake. I mean, Shiro's just farming that much faster on the Gyrocopter. Looks like he's got his full BKB on the way now on the Gyro. The thing is, the next fight with that BKB probably going to be a lot more challenging for the side of Heroic, as it feels like most of the problems coming in for Shiro is basically for Analog. Like, Analog's just jumping in with a full epicenter channel, And it is making life very hard for this gyrocopter to be able to survive. With the BKB, though, you're probably not going to have too many issues here up against the Sand King. Now, we'll see what happens this next fight. I mean, both sides, for now, seemingly just wanting to farm up. Nobody really interested in forcing a fight. There is pings out onto Matthew, but nothing to say, not looking like he'll get the opportunity to quite make the jump onto Matthew that he was looking for. And Lions have been drawn, Jonathan. It seems like Tidebound, they want to go into that die triangle and wait around that area, see if they can find themselves a nice pickup.
I like this read. There are some wards here from Heroic if they do break the smoke in the right spot. It doesn't look like they'll be able to fully do so.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming. KJ, he gets caught out though. Whisper, he's actually going to keep fighting with the grasp out. Stuns up Bark. Bark is perfectly fine to walk out of there though. They'll just hold on to the high ground of that triangle. And for Heroic, I mean, you've really... Oh, I say you've only lost KJ. Analog going for a TP play out should be okay. Nothing to say, has nowhere to cancel though. That is a very long TP, but it won't matter. He's fine.
We'll still be able to take a tier 1 off the back of it. You would want bigger kills coming out from Tidebound. I think in that sense, Heroic's still fairly satisfied. You didn't lose your Dusa. You're getting some stable farm out for Yuma. You've got your own BKB timings lining up now. Recipe lacking for Yuma, still a ways off from that. But you've also got the BKB for Analog not too far off now. So you've got your own BKBs to counteract the BKBs on Tidebound. Shiro, for his part, does go for the Revenant's Brooch on the Gyro, so wanting the cheaper option for some early damage. It does scale well, mind you. It's not like anyone's going for a pipe anytime soon. So you do have some pretty relevant output, especially onto the Morphling. Like, he is reliant on his base Agi armor. Not going to feel as great into this full Brooch up on Shiro. Just need to see if they can leverage that. Looking for the same swing around angle into the triangle once more.
Much better target as well. Analog is going to be standing there. Rotobatos to lock him down. Spear as well. And with that, Analog cannot survive it. He is gone. Whisper will be forced to cancel his TP to the outpost to boot. Because they're still hunting around with these impalement arts, trying to see if they can find another target, but they cannot. So instead, the target will be the tier 1 mid tower, of course. And you are approaching the point where it starts to really feel like Tidebound might start to take over. Again, considering how much Shiro has farmed up on this gyrocopter now, and the fact that they are probably going to start looking for Roshan very soon, if not right now.
Yeah, they've got clear options here on the side of Tidebound for Heroic. I think that it's fine for them to kind of take it slow. Again, they've got some good scaling with Morphling here. They've got the full BKB up on Yuma. You've got a lot more utility that Whisper can go into. I think after something like this Ghost Scepter, something like the Sight of Vice is going to be massive for Dusa if she can work her way into that. And giving her a ton of EHP to play with. There's also Growth for Analog down the line. Shiva's being formed up now for him as well. Smoke out from Heroic. They do have all their big spells ready. They just need to connect. Mind you, you're playing into a Ricky with Ags up if Nakate will want to join in, so he has a lot of ways of dodging out. And they are on a high ground position here for Tidebound to break the smoke.
Oh, wait. You see one. Quick kill onto Planet. Not the biggest target, but they'll take it. Of course, Roshan's still available for either side. They'll even find Planet's Courier with the Aether Lens recipe, which is quite nice. But they will lose a bottom tower. Or rather, a top tower goes down here for the side of Heroic. And now, mid lane, Analog being chased down.
Jeez.
Gonna cancel the epicenter for now. Scary times against Shiro is just doing so much damage on this gyrocopter. Heroic, they are going to back off to the high ground of their own jungle. Lions being drawn out back towards the Radiant Triangle, so it seems like Heroic want to try and get back into that same position in that Radiant Triangle. Again, Roshan is the main objective for both sides at the moment. Very important to not lose your positioning. Here we go again. Planet's in the same position. He may get caught another time, but a nice bounce away And the escape act is going to allow him a way out as they do try to force the fight now. Arena is down. They've caught one in the form of a Sand King. And Analog, he cannot be saved in that smoke screen. Meanwhile, Matthew also in trouble, will barely walk away with his Ghost Scepter. Yuma, he's going to go into that Gyrocopter with the Flak Cannon, trying to fight back here, but it's not really working out as they would have liked. Spark is still just frontlining for them. Whisper also in a lot of danger. However, now the turnaround is here. Yuma trying to jump back in. We'll find Shiro perhaps. The Shiro will run his way out. And it seems like nobody else is actually going to die.
It's a really big commitment out from the side of Tidebound. Short respawn for Analog. See, when he does come back in, they have the epicenter advantage. BKBs are on cooldown now on Tidebound as well. There's a small window for Heroic to try to force something out. And you're seeing some issues here, right? Like, again, we've talked about this, but when Whisper steps in, you can't do anything about this Dusa. Stone Gaze cuts off your fight. Gorgon's Grasp constantly getting thrown out just stops that as well with a Meteor Hammer. Your damage out on Nothing to Say isn't really enough to even melt through some of these supports. Like, KJ is really tanky. Matthew has some ways of dodging out if you don't smoke screen committal on the Shadow Demon as well. So there's always a couple of things you have to watch out for in the backline. And it does feel like once you commit the arena initiation from Bach, you don't really have much else in follow-up control just yet on the side of Tidebound. You are seeing Shiro go for the Satanic, which is almost done, into the Diffusal and Disperser. So he is going back for Diffusal, Gyro Mikey. You do get your wish. It does make its reappearance up against Sedusa. Whether or not that's enough, though, I'm not entirely sure. The issue is you can't stand... It's not that you can't hit and kill Whisper. It's just that you can't stand and hit Whisper without dying. Because Yuma's there, because he can turn into Gyrocopter, because there's so much damage output. You might be better served by a Scotty to actually just scare off that Morphling a little bit more. We'll see if that Disperser play will come in handy, though, as at least it provides some follow-through for when Nothing to Say jumps in as well, trying to focus on something like the Deuce in the middle of these fights.
Well, big smoke up now, Heroic. For that big fight. Wrapping through that dire triangle now, Heroic. They could run into Bark first. Bark just hanging around that bottom Roshan pit at the moment. Analog just about to walk into him. Decides to go north instead, though. Planet breaks the smoke of KJ and Analog. So now they know exactly where Heroic are. And Heroic, I don't think, want to force this fight any longer. It does not look great for them. And Roshan's decided he's going to move now as well. So both sides still just posturing around the Roshan pit, trying to give themselves the best opportunity at taking out Roshan. Keep in mind, if you're Heroic, you don't really want to allow Tidebound to go into the pit and start. Because naturally, John Shiro's got that serrated Shiv that I always talk about, and it's going to mean he's going to make a quick work of Roshan. Because why not?
Yeah. I love it. A neutral that helps you take a big objective. Very, very nice.
Who decided it gives a flat 200 against Roshan? That's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because if he had the 8% of target HP, it would feel kind of crazier than Roche. Still,
jump in. They got Whisper on the arena. It's actually going to block the way. It looks bad, but I think this is actually a pretty decent arena. It split up the fight. Problem is the Echo Stomp that came in did put an end to the fight completely. And now, naturally with the arena down, Heroic, they want to try and go for the fight themselves. Jumping in onto Shiro, they found the big target. Shiro, he's going to be BKBing up and trying to man-fight this one. Is he going to be able to make it happen? The Earth Splitter does a lot of damage. Shiro just trying to run away, but the Stomp is there again. He's locked down. Shiro, though, he's still alive. He's got Satanic back up and ready to go. He can keep going. Meanwhile, Yuma's gone. Oh, and now they're on to Whisper. Whisper will kill off Planet, but he's all by himself now. I don't think there's anywhere left to go. Nice stomp from KJ. It's just not going to make the difference as Bark will chase him down, though he misses the spear. So at least KJ gets out of there, but another big team fight win for Tidebound. And I mean, that was without the arena, John. The arena was committed in the previous fight. They didn't have it.
And they play that smart on the side of Tidebound, right? Like, they knew that they couldn't focus down to do so. Even if you isolate her, she's really not what you have to go for first. You have to go for everything else around it. And Yuma gets a little bit trigger happy. Doesn't respect the control once the BKB fades away. Caught in the middle, gets really aggressive with a waveform forward. And again, he's underestimating the damage output of Shiro onto him. This Revenant's Brooch pickup into the Morphling is working wonders. Because this guy has like 34 armor without any plus armor. Matthew?
Yeah, he kind of just jumped in. Matthew, I mean, I guess it's worth trying the Roshan still. You know, it's just a support life anyway. You may as well give it a crack, but sadly it doesn't work out for him. Shiro will still be able to pick up the Aegis for himself on this Gyrocopter. And he's going straight for the Dispersal, which makes enough sense. It's making matters worse and worse here for the side of Heroic. On to the tier 2 mid tower they'll go. It looks like Whisper's going to be around to try and defend this one, but it's not going to be that easy, I don't think.
No. It's going to be a little bit rough. I feel like your team fight's still really strong on Heroic. You just have to play off of Whisper. The fact that Whisper was jumped, the arena cutting them off is what cost them. If they managed to take that fight in the triangle without the arena blocking them, I think that would have been a very different story, of course. Even though it looked awkward from Bach, it still worked out. The ideal now for Heroic is, again, you have your Deuce up front. She kind of cops the damage. You follow through with your Sand King. You follow through with your Elder Titan as well in terms of AoE control. And give the room out for Yuma to actually change into that Gyrocopter, get his own damage out. He has his own Revenant's Brooch to pierce through the high armor that you do have on the side of Tidebound. He just needs a way to be able to stand there and fight, because what Tidebound's been doing is they're just ignoring Whisper. Maybe they throw a smoke screen to make him less annoying, but they're certainly not devoting all the resources into that one tanky Dusa, because that's exactly what offlane Dusa wants. Have some room now to siege onto that top tier 2. They've got some good wards to cover here as well. A nice cliff ward in that top jungle, and still that sneaky ward in the top jungle river to kind of keep track of flanks. No defense coming out from Heroic. A 10k lead for Tidebound, as Heroic just have not found the angles. It also comes down to who's forcing these fights. Tidebound have been the ones taking initiative. Heroic have been playing pretty much in response to Tidebound. They need to play on their own terms. Like, they have to be playing aggressive, because I don't think you're too bad off here on Heroic. That 10k, 11k lead, most of it's coming down to how much farm Shiro has. And nothing else. Shiro literally accounts for almost 7k of the gap. Right? So the other half of the gold is mainly on the supports. It's very playable for Heroic to look for initiative themselves. Just play with analog, try to get these smoke ganks, try to isolate a hero off. They've got a full Scotty now even on Whisper. More stats that you have to rip through. More EHP. Healing reduction against the jar is big. You just need to get these parts working together on the side of Heroic.
Yeah, you certainly do. Problem is, things are getting worse and worse, John. Why's now got a full Aghanim Scepter up on the Abaddon. So, things are infinitely harder in terms of actually killing anybody. And let me tell you, that Abba Ags can look really ridiculous at in certain fights. Just how unkillable it makes everybody. As they are again in that die triangle, still looking to posture onto the high ground if they can here. It seems like Shuro wants to give it a crack while he still has a minute 45 on the Aegis. Heroic, can they defend, or are they going to let this one go? Because chances are Tidebound only have time for one with the Aegis that. Well, they're going. Shiro will be saved by the Escape Act. And I suppose that is the big nuisance here, is as long as that's available, chances are Shiro's always going to be able to get away without really having to give much up. Jump in. Oh, nice spear. Very nice spear from Bach. He's caught himself a Medusa. And with that, they're going to be forced to jump in and try to force the fight. Analog does at least take down Planet. Shiro, meanwhile, in a bit of danger, needs to get out of there. But can he get out, is the question. They'll lock him down. That's why he does also go down. Oh. But now Whisper's in trouble. A big stomp from KJ, but it's not going to make the difference. Shiro is still dropping. He'll fight back. He's still got that secondary life. But it seems like the fight might finally be over. As Heroic, they've kind of run out of gas. And Shiro, he still has that Aegis up for another 35 seconds, so he wants to dive for the reset.
Yeah, trying to bait them in. Does have the Satanic to quickly regen. Will just probably regen back up anyhow. Heroic, they do fend off a siege onto the high ground. Mind you, this tier 3 is at 26 HP, so it's just a breeze away from dying. A later siege out from Tidebound should get that cleaned up. Or even just maybe a backdoor hit if they really want to risk it later on. Heroic still are showing, again, some power out, but you can't afford to have your Deuce just, again, get isolated away. You need to play off the back of the Deuce's tankiness. And they did give it a fair shake a while ago. Unfortunate that, again, with all the sustain coming out, you mentioned it, with Y having his Ags, it can be just that much tougher to look for the burst. Because you don't really have burst on hand, right? It's not like you have a lot of straight-out kill damage on your Dusa. It's really about sustained damage and just durability on Whisper. You don't have that as well on Analog. It does have a Shivas, which can help if you manage to get a good Epicenter Sandstorm out. Tidebound, still feeling confident. Aegis expired, but giving them the reset. They've got Arena back up in Bach. Just need an angle out again. Whisper again.
They want Whisper, they want Analog first, but Bach not quite able to get in there for an Arena. Instead, we'll have to try and go for Whisper. Does get the Hex out, but the Arena is not going to lock him in. Right on the edge. There's pesky staircases as well, so you're never 100% sure exactly where the Medusa is. And well, sadly for Buck, this time around he does miss out on the opportunity. Thankfully for Heroic, though, that gives them an opportunity to just get back into that triangle and kind of hold steadfast. You could just try to go high ground if you are the side of Tidebound, but obviously they are looking to wait for the next Roshan before they try to go high ground again, unless they find a good...
Yeah, they just need to... They can kind of relax in Tidebound. They've got a 15k lead now. It's kind of eclipsed. They've got the full butterfly flaying out for Shiro. Next rush, we'll see in a minute 20 when that respawn timer will be. But they are in control of this game. Again, there are options for damage coming in here on the side of Heroic. They've even got the Silver Edge up on Yuma. So you've got at least a break option to kind of deal with Bach for being annoyed by the bulwark. And breaking Y, maybe chain stunning him before he can pop borrowed time manually is going to be nice as well. So you take away that factor of the Abaddon if he's not too careful. It still feels like, for Heroic, it's down to how you execute these team fights. Again, it's a little bit harder because of that, because in comparison, Tidebound just kind of run in. Even if they just arena 1 or 2 heroes, it's perfectly fine. They just need the numbers advantage. They need these fights to be chaotic on Tidebound's end, and that's how it's felt like. The response from Heroic has been a little bit chaotic. Smoke out from Heroic, though. See if they get that good wraparound, good lines being drawn for a long flank into that mid-river spot.
Here we go. Much pressure on a good initiation here, and you know you got to point out how great KJ's been on this this Elder Titan. He's been making life extremely hard for Tidebound every fight. And now Shiro, this could be an extremely challenging situation for Shiro, but he does get the BKB off in time with the Satanic. He's willing to go for the fight against 3 heroes, though he's running out of time with that BKB. They still do find Matthew before it does run out. Shiro, though, he still has to fight. Analog is going down. In fact, Shiro's not even in danger anymore. Yuma just kind of left the building. I thought Yuma was around somewhere, but he just left. Just didn't see the opening anymore.
Oh, and that was just unfortunate timing for Tidebound. They managed to get the jump in Shiro, but Y was right next to him. Y managed to pop on borrowed time. They still had the escape back in the back. Like, everything for saving was online. They couldn't jump the back line. They couldn't take care of these saves. Now you've got that big opening to just siege away. They can go for the tier 4s. No Stone Gaze yet. No Epicenter. You have buybacks. The damage out from Yuma. It's not going to be enough.
Absolutely not. Tier 4 towers under siege. Meanwhile, Bach finding himself a very primary target in the form of KJ, forcing out buybacks. Here comes Analog to try and help out, but it's not looking too good for him because Bach is just completely annihilating them in this arena, and they're just wiped. Shiro gets a triple kill. And that'll be it. GG has called. They've seen enough. They haven't got the bodies left to defend. And that'll be game 1 to go the way of Tidebound.
Yeah, it was a a little bit awkward out from Heroic in those last two engagements. I think maybe again, I don't think it kind of boils down to not having Schofield. I think Matthew was doing his job well. It felt like more that they just couldn't get the angle in. Tidebound had a good read. Even on the low ground jump from Heroic having the high ground, the position wasn't ideal. Like, they're not able to find the angles they'd want to take in these fights. And in the end, that overwhelming healing, that overwhelming durability coming out on the gyrocopter in this case was just a little bit too much. Even with the durability on Whisper, they couldn't leverage it in the way they need to here on Heroic.
No, they absolutely could not. Props to, again, Tidebound, who have been looking bloody fantastic so far, Jonathan, from the games we've seen. Of course, this is still day one, but I'd say they only have up to go from here, right?
You know, I'd love to head down to America, have a Dr. Pepper.
Do
as
you
a good
remember?
friend Neff would say. Yeah.
I feel comfortable telling this story because I feel like we got ripped off straight up. So, you know, you remember Gods? The last time we saw him at a LAN, he said to us, the next LAN BTS has will be there 100%. And then they announced that they were shutting down like 2 weeks later. And I'm like,
yeah, that's
bro,
right.
why you gotta do us like that, Parker?
You know, yeah, I mean, look.
He got us.
Why do you have to bring up sad memories, Mike?
He got
I
us.
still
good.
mourn.
He's a prankster, that man.
He is. Good old Parker. I miss him. But man, you make me sad thinking back about that. Like, you know?
Yeah.
That'd make it sad. You know, I have so many memories. Doing the DPC interviews from my bedroom. All the players being annoyed every week that, I have to talk to John again for 20 minutes. Good lord. He's going to add us on his Steam friend list. And we don't even like him.
Bark?
I have to see Whitemon's fan.
Bark's trying to get a deny off on this Observer Ward here, John. And they will get it. Look at the bright side, John. They could have been talking to me for 20 minutes. I'm sure they would have enjoyed that much less. I mean, I wouldn't have tried to add them as friends on my friend list like you do every time. Hold on a minute. Planet. Planet's in a bit of danger. He'll go for a run, but Grenade is going to land, and it looks like they are not willing to dive too deep, which is fair enough. I believe it was 3 bounty runes? No, 4 bounty runes. No, 3 bounty runes going to the way of Tidebound. 1 for Heroic, as KJ just picks one up.
Yeah, another strong start for Tidebound already, as we've seen from them. Been pretty damn good at contesting these runes every single time. Taking a gander top first. This lane for Whisper isn't too shabby. It is still a melee lane into Gyrocopter. He does go for Eternal Empowerment as well. So you're not going to be able to toss around his Gyro with a Shockwave. You are going to be farming maybe a little bit quicker at the least with Empower for free once you have the levels up. But you're not going to be zoning Sheer out anytime soon. There is potential for, let's say, toss-back, skewer-back plays later on as Matthew gets some levels, but it's one of those lanes where, again, you're just going to have to watch your pause for pull, soak up some EXP, allow the safe lane to farm, and there's really not much you can do to stop Shiro from just getting his own stable build-up here. So the Gyro will farm. At least you'll get some EXP and gold going your way as well on the side of Heroic. Down bot, you do have that Ursa lane lined up for Yuma, along with KJ on his side, into the Medusa and the Coddle. Again, there is some good aggression that can come in, theoretically, if you can maybe get a cold feed off or trade with Chilling Touch. You could try to run down. It's just Blinding Light makes it hard, and KJ's on the wrong side there.
Certainly is. KJ still going to make it out, though. It's actually Planet that was in more danger because Yuma just wanted to chase him down, but now Yuma has to give up because the creep wave is just underneath his T1. Had no Earthshock to try and really commit for the kill properly. And so, a lot of action down in this bottom lane. No kills as of yet. But it sure feels like it's coming soon.
It does. You have to really respect just the repositional, the kiting that you can get done. The nuisance that is Blinding Light and the mischance for someone like the Ursa can make it really tough to just even play the lane and try to farm. The one good bit of news here for Heroic is that mid lane is shaping up really strong here for Analog. You do have that mid Beastmaster coming out into the Pangolier lane. It's pretty fine. You're just spamming out axes. You've got the value point in the boar. But for nothing to say, it's a lot tougher for him to just step up. He is going to lose out the mana trade war. It's a lot cheaper for Analog to start stacking this damage up. And it's going to boil down to how well can he use. 2-minute runes are just all going the way of Analog already, denying one, picking one up for himself, so you're already slightly behind in that sense for nothing to say. And if he's not careful with Boar Micro, same thing could happen at 4 minutes. And if you don't get your bottle topped up at all for nothing to say, this just becomes an untenable lane if he's not careful.
That does. Analog having a very good time on that Beastmaster right now, 17-3. Nothing to say. Not too far behind, 15-1. Yeah, first blood yet to be drawn. It's like Yuma's having a grand old time down to that bottom lane, but so is Bark. No real fear here for Bark as long as Planet's behind him with that Chakra Magic ready. Obviously, level 1 not the greatest, but once you hit that level 2 mark, Bark will be feeling a lot safer with that Chakra Magic. Yuma doesn't seem too concerned though. Obviously, they already tried for the chase down early on for the first blood attempt, but it just didn't pan out. At this point, you might feel like it's probably a bit too late, but Yuma, he can still try to harass. Mid lane, nothing to say. Trying to find a water room, but there's just so many heroes coming in, and it's going to have to be denied off by Planet anyway. Matthew did hold the other one though, so there is still a water room for Analog to take. A lot of emphasis on ensuring Analog has a good laning stage for himself, and well, nothing to say. He's actually gone pretty far forward. They'll toss him back. He did use his swashbuckle earlier, so it's on cooldown, but it won't matter. One quick shield crash, and that'll be enough to allow him a way out. And well, I suppose you got what you came for. You secured the water rune for Analog, but I just wonder if it's really that worth the water rune.
I think it's relatively fine. I think your losses up top is pretty annoying, but Whisper was never going to have the smoothest lane up against Gyrocopter anyway, and the bot lane still draws to an even farming lane, so you can afford to commit all of those resources. The key thing is less about topping up Analog, more about slowing down nothing to say, right? Because this Pangolier is going to be your early momentum. It's going to be the one here that makes these rotations, forces fights among the cores, because you're not expecting that from Dusa, you're not expecting that from a Gyrocopter anytime soon, so it has to be the Pango, and doing their best to at least ensure that Nothing to Say has a slower ramp up than he'd like to have. Still, level 6 is shaping up to come out at a decent time. Same thing goes for Analog. And once those 6s are up, I'm keen on seeing if we do get a split up from mid. If Analog and if Nothing to Say start to look for some activity elsewhere. Ideally bot. If Nothing to Say can kind of finagle a route down bot without being spotted out by the wards, you get a good use out from the first Rolling Thunder, try to bully this Ursa before Enrage is leveled up, and then you kind of set a good tone. You slow down the phase boots, you slow down the Battle Fury, the key timing of the Ursa we always talk about when this hero is up. Let's see though, gonna have to stem through a power rune, and again, the resources are here to defend, as at least they deny it from Y, but that, again, that also means that NTS just doesn't have a power rune to play with. Makes those rotations maybe slightly awkward. Exposes him to some more damage here if he's not careful.
Yeah, it certainly does. They seem to really be ensuring that NTS is not going to be leaving that mid lane anytime soon. And well, that's the way it certainly feels right now. Analog, in the meantime, he's gone into the jungle. He'll start farming up with those wild axes. He's got a couple stacks that were made by KJ, so seems the farm escalation for the Beastmaster does officially begin. I suppose these creeps are kind of annoying to clear out because of that damn water bubble spell, but it is what it is. You'll get him eventually. He's had a pretty good Beastmaster game thus far, Analog. Comparatively to, say, last game where he was falling maybe slightly behind. This time around, I'd say he's off to a much better start.
And he is. I mean, this is where all of your investment went onto the mid. The timing into the Ags is going to be pretty sharp here for Analog. He still has his triangle stacks to clear out, which he will walk down to. That's going to be spotted out by a ward at the very least, but contesting at this point for Tidebound doesn't feel all too realistic just yet. A very quiet game still, Mike. 7 minutes, 20 seconds in, and no first blood yet. We will have a tower take bot from a slow siege of Bach and Y. But very conservative gameplay. They do not want to get snowballed here on the side of Heroic. This tier 1 take is pretty damn big though, especially since that should lead into some decent timing on the first Tormentor later down the line. At the 15-minute mark, you won't have your TP point here on Heroic to contest. and it just makes it maybe slightly more awkward for Yuma to be up front, but not really too much more. In comparison, top for Tidebound, very healthy still in the Gyro. Again, a lot of emphasis for the Power Rune here. And this time around, NTS does find it for himself. Although Invis still doesn't lead to too much angling. And again, it's focusing all these resources on mid. It's starting to feel like a bit of a drain. Because there's no pressure coming in onto Shiro. There's really no pressure onto Bach. You've got a free farming Dusa and a Gyrocopter. You've got the Meteor Hammer already up on Bach. That's already a bit of an early tempo item up for the off-lane Dusa. And you haven't hit the point where you're really applying pressure. I think if Analog's Ags comes out, that has to be a launching point. Like, you cannot have to wait for more than just Ags on the Beastmaster. Maybe a blink up on a Whisper, arguably, could be something you wait for as well. But if you just play this passive farm game up against two heroes that farm really damn well on Tidebound, eventually you're just giving them a free network advantage as you just play a AFK farm simulator here.
It kind of feels like we're still yet to draw a kill. I mean, it seems like all the eggs are being placed into the analog basket. Like, he's going to have a relatively quick Aghanim Scepter on the Beastmaster. And we have seen, you know, mid-beast, it does tend to pop off if you can get a quick Ags up, but it's not going to be, like, the quickest one we've ever seen in the world. It's just a decent timing. He's only about 100 gold ahead of Shiro at the moment, and about 200 gold ahead of Bach. There's going to come a point, like, if there's one death on analog, all that net worth that you've been acquiring on this Beastmaster is not going to feel very good anymore, because everyone else is going to overtake him. In fact, Shiro has now. So I'm quite curious to see where Heroic are going with this. There's your smoke up now. This is prior to the Ags up on analog. It seems like they kind of just want to get something for all this time being committed, and they've maybe just realized that First Blood is still available. Planet will get roared up. They just want a quick one, and they'll take it. Analog will be very happy with that.
Yeah. That is a very good timing as well. 10 minutes for First Blood. Right around the marker of that. So, perfect timing. I don't think we've ever seen that. But there you go. It's level 6. That's the thing they were waiting for. Just level 6 on KJ to guarantee a kill. Fair enough. Accelerates that Ags timing you've been rambling about here on the Beastmaster. The same points you mentioned still stand, though. It's not the big kill you're looking for. Most of the stacks were cleared out by Tidebound before the rotation came in. And now Roar is down. So there is a window here for Nothing to Say to not care. He's got Rolling Thunder ready. There's a minute window where he could get things done. He doesn't have to. But they drag Bach in with a Meteor Hammer and they're going to shove in mid. And again, this is just giving free space for Shiro top.
Why not? Y will come in as well. This Coddle certainly feeling quite strong in this meta with this recall being such a low cooldown as well. Just bring in your whole team, why don't you? There goes the tier 1 mid tower. I mean, they're still holding on, but there's no real chance of it surviving. A nice little deny attempt from KJ, but sadly does not quite land it perfectly. And for this dire side, it seems like they're just going to connect top. Just screw it. Tidebound, not done yet. They've got this Meteor Hammer on Bach, so they can slowly get this tier 1 tower down without really applying too much danger to themselves. As Matthew just get caught by that Gorgon's Grasp for a second, but we'll be okay. Can't say the same for the tier 1 top tower, though. It is down. And now they're trying to fight for these stacks. It's only a double stack, but they're fighting for it here on the side of Tidebound.
And you just take everything you can get, you know? You can prevent that same build-up or...
Oh, he committed. Shiro, he's been caught out. That's a big boy. And they've got him. Yuma will secure the kill on the Ursa, and, well, that's exactly what you wanted to see if you're Heroic.
Finally finding some punish for Tidebound. Maybe getting a little bit greedy. It's not like Shiro had anyone to back him up. That was the blink reveal out from Whisper. So the side of Tidebound should be a little bit more cautious going forward at this point. They are still ready to kind of make a play. They know RP's down, Roar is back up, but no Ice Blast as well, although fairly short cooldown. And they'll also just opt to play it slow. I mean, it's 2-0, but a 2k lead for Tidebound. You're in a very happy state. The Atos is almost done on Bach. You've got your Ags, despite that death on Shiro, still 3 parts away with a Crystalist Falcon Blade up. You're still very happy. Still chasing top.
Well, Shiro, again, Whisper's caught him a second time. Yuma does go down mid lane. Shiro, he's also been caught. So 1 for 1 on both position ones. Bark now connecting into the mid lane. Planet will make his way in as well, but it doesn't matter. I'd still say Shiro dying like this is a much bigger deal than say Yuma dying. And it's always off the back of Whisper. He just gets in there for a skewer and suddenly you're completely out of position.
Yeah, you can't count a Whisper Magnus out whatsoever. We've seen this man just make or break games by himself. The side of Tidebound, they have to be a little bit cautious. They don't have that same repositional play. They do have repositional play in the sense that they can recall people in, but you don't have that same way of dragging heroes around on the enemy side. And for Heroic, it's always run and gun now. With that blink on Whisper, just another smoke out, another Ice Blast set to go. With the Avalanche Toss ready on Matthew. All they need to do is find one isolated hero out. Heck, RP's also not too far off, so a wider team fight would work out here as well. Scan doesn't quite connect. Plan to be decent, not ideal though.
They'll take it. I think right now, any kill's a good kill for Heroic. They'll happily take it away. Yeah, it definitely doesn't solve the problems they could have in about 5 to 10 minutes, but, you know, just adding to the board. And nothing else is happening, quite frankly, John. Like, Tidebound are playing very defensively their side of the map this time around, and I think for Heroic, it's kind of one of those games where you could just try and trust that Yuma will be able to eventually outscale the opposing side on the Ursa, especially considering you do have an empowered Ursa that you're playing with, but yeah, I mean, I still have my doubts.
Whisper?
I just think with the way the game is going, you don't really have much of a choice but to aim whoever's just showing on the map. And speaking of, Whisper, turns out he was showing underneath the Observer Ward there, John, so they took him out.
A little bit of a long chase. They managed to snag a Lotus for himself at the very least, but you are seeing some of that utility from the Kotl kick in. Just recalling heroes around. A bit of a clump up bot from the side of Heroic, and they're setting up for the Tormentor. Without Whisper around, it can be a bit tough. Again, with their tier 1 gone, Whisper doesn't have a safe TP point to access. They get a good scan as well from Tidebound, so they can contest this fine.
Bark, not afraid of too much here on the Medusa. He'll just walk up the high ground. There will be a big smoke, though, and a big wraparound from Heroic. They want to try and get in from the back where Shiro is currently hanging about. This is the primary target, and they will blow him up again. Perfect start to this fight. Can they keep it going? The RP. Whisper, he caught 2 targets. Now the 3-man skewer. Oh, Whisper. Just carry the team, why don't you? Bark's in trouble to boot. This will be a full team wipe. My goodness, that's perfect from Heroic.
All off the bat of Whisper, and all the tips come out for him. And we were just talking about this. There was a window for Tidebound to set a better position up. There was no TP point for Whisper to come in. He had to go through tier 2. He had to walk into that area. Instead, Tidebound were a little bit slow. Bak was already running up the ramp. They take this position on the low ground instead. Shiro's just completely out of sync from his team. And they take that free Tormentor off the back of it. Free Shard on KJ is massive. Like the Ice Blast having that freeze is insanely useful. Not that they need it, because they've been on top of all of these heroes they jump for. They're saving it for these pickoffs. And for Tidebound now, they're 4K behind. Heroic have done great work in just reeling in the potential aggression for Tidebound. It feels like there's a massive damage issue in Tidebound. Like, Bak's able to tank through. You've got some output from NTS, but you're not there yet with Shiro. His Ag's still 1 part away, which isn't too bad, all things considered. He's still number 2 in net worth, despite all these back-to-back deaths he's suffered. But it doesn't feel like you have a game to play just yet on Tidebound. You need some damage on this gyro. You need some durability on this gyro. You need to be able to scout forward. They have to get a good read on how Heroic's playing, because every time they have these spells back up, they are looking for fights. It's just constant smoke plays coming in here. Heck, sometimes, again, they don't even need it. Sometimes all you need is to skewer back. And Whisper's shown multiple times over in this game that can be enough by itself.
Doing a great job so far, Heroic. 3k advantage now their way, but more importantly, just Shiro's just starting to fall so far behind, and so is Bark on this Deucer. In fact, they might go again. Bark's showing in that mid lane. He may not know it, but he's underneath a bit of vision here. They won't be able to get the skill back play for Whisper. He doesn't see the opportunity. Still they wait. There's an amp damage rune. Bark's going for it. And the toss back from Matthew. RP committed immediately. No hesitation here as they do take him out. Bark is gone. Nothing to say. We'll move in with the Rolling Thunder. It's a decent angle on Yuma, but there's no backup to it. Meanwhile, Whisper, he did jump in for a skill back play, but got stunned immediately. Still, they got the Bark Medusa. You'll be more than happy with that. And Yuma, he sees the opportunity now to just start Roshan. He's got an amp damage after all.
With no Rolling Thunder to be scared of, there's just no way you come into this one for Tidebound. It's a high risk. NTS isn't even in the area. Free Rosh for the side of Heroic, which is to be expected in an Ursa game. Yuma's gonna catapult himself to number 2 in net worth overall. And the side of Tidebound, they're the ones that kind of need to hang back and farm up a little bit more. Like Shiro needs some damage. Has the Ags up, so some of that damage is kicking in with the Chrysalis up. It's just, it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough. These are very tanky heroes on the side of Heroic. You're talking about a Beastmaster with Ags up. You're talking about a Magnus with the BKB almost completed now. And an Ursa with 2 lives. None of these heroes are particularly easy to kind of take control of, as Whisper again.
Yeah, we've got Whisper again catching Y this time in the mid lane. Just fishing at the moment as KJ catching nothing to say to boot. My goodness, just all across the map. Kills happening here for Heroic. It's so scary as well, because with this Tiny and this AA combination, like an Avalanche Toss plus an Ice Blast, it just deletes people. Even cores, like nothing to say, just getting blown up off that combination.
Yeah. Not even having to commit Roar out from Analog is huge. They know Box probably alone right now. Got an opportunity here for the Deuce. A little bit tankier. Not the easiest thing to burst down, but in isolation, certainly very much feasible. Don't gun for it in the end. Instead, they set up a nice forward ward by the ramp onto the tier 2. By the Ancient in the triangle. Pretty good spot to just catch heroes off guard again. And for Tidebound, they had some ideas for this Kotal. I was expecting more impact from the connection with Planet and nothing to say. It's just, it's not there. We're not really seeing double swash. Not seeing double shield crash.
He's gonna get caught. Of course, Whisper once again catching another quick kill. And Heroic, they can certainly just look towards that bottom tier 1. There's no rule. I don't think there's any threat right now, John. They've got everything up. They're ready to go. If anything, they're just waiting for someone else to show down at that bottom lane for a team fight attempt. Whisper's going to start hunting. Nothing to say will show himself, but realizes that they are probably waiting. And yeah, I mean, Heroic, they're kind of ignoring the objective altogether, just wanting to go for a fight. But it seems like Yuma will finally move up and just take the tier 1 tower. Nothing else to be taken.
Yeah, just clear it out. If the side of Tidebound don't want to fight into you, I mean, you can just take these objectives, maximize this Aegis as much as possible in terms of map control. Tidebound, trying to play that farm game. It's going to be a BKB for sure next for some of that durability and presence. You have a rules up to the box and the Sorcerers. They catch one more here.
They certainly do. Nothing to say. We'll still be able to run away, though. He's okay with that Rolling Thunder. Analog was not really around to commit the Roar out, it seems, so instead, it's into the mid-tier 1. That'll be a nice quick tower here thanks to Yuma. BKB up now as well on the Ursa. I mean, they are just getting so far on their cause here for Heroic. And you can tell Yuma, he just wants to fight as Bark does get spotted out. He'll throw a lot of Atos at himself onto Whisper just to ensure Whisper can't go for a skill back play again. But even Matthew just waiting on the high ground of that dire triangle for a toss back play. The whole map just feels really unsafe right now for the side of the dire, and you kind of wonder at what stage the game kind of switches right now, because it just seems very one-sided. Bark, he's gonna find one. Problem is Whisper's still there. Analog, he'll commit the Roar. It's nothing to say. He wants the bigger target, and he's gonna get it. As long as the Ice Blast follows up, there's no problems here with bursting literally anyone down. Nobody's safe.
No. And there's no safety net whatsoever for Tidebound. It looked like a pretty good start to split with Bach isn't the easiest one, but nothing to say, just he has no durability. He has nothing defensive. He went for, again, straight up Diffusal into Blink. He's going for the Ags. Not that he'd want to go BKB anyhow, but it could help the cause at the very least. Tried to poke Yuma, but he still has his BKB. So really not, and his Aegis, so it's not really a safe bet. What you have to do on Tidebound is just kind of hope that Shiro can just carry this game, right? Like that's literally it. Hope that the Gyrocopter is going to be enough, because it's going to be a BKB, it's going to be an SNY here for Shiro. Probably a decent enough game for a Revenant's Brooch again, considering the high armor in these heroes, although Ursa doesn't have much armor in comparison, so you could make an argument for Data, but I'm not sure. It's 14-2, a 9k lead for Heroic. They've got control of the map. They literally have nothing to worry about. And for the side of Tidebound, again, with this Dusa, with the way it works now in the offlane, it's all about utility. They're not really able to connect with Bach. Like, they're not able to utilize the area denial of Stone Gaze, the area control of the Grasp, tie that in with your Pangolier. These teamfights have just felt flat. Looking at Shiro.
He's not looking too healthy, John. It's pretty sad death there for Shiro's now an RP as well, committed. Nothing to say caught. My goodness, Bach tossed back into the loving arms of Yuma, who's trying not to look at Bach at the moment. Avalanche is going to lock him down on the Medusa. Whisper, they're just tossing him around now. It's just, they're just tossing him around like a ball. Poor old Bach. He just can't get anything done, this poor bloke.
No. No. He's just melting. And I mean, at this point, 17-2, 12k behind. Your team fight potential on Tidebound is somewhat there as they find one more planet.
They sure do, John.
What do you have to do on Tidebound? What's the copium that they have to do as they're getting picked off one by one, which is not a good look to start huffing copium, but okay, why at least TP's home. So copium huffing can begin again. What they have to do is, I don't know, maybe at this point, Shiro, ditch the SNY idea. Get your BKB. Maybe a Morbid Mask just for some lifesteal and go straight Divine. It feels like it's one of those games. You don't have damage. Like, there's just no output whatsoever in Tidebound. Even if they get initiation, there's just nothing. They're so durable on the side of Heroic. With an Ursa, with a Beastmaster with drums up, with a Magnus that's just going ham right in your face. I think you have no choice. Let's smoke up on Tidebound. Try to work an angle. BKB up in Shiro at least. No RP for a little longer, although not too much longer, Mike. Can kind of end in disaster if they take too long in the smoke rotation.
I mean, it seems like this RP is going to be well and truly available once again now. Smoke is popped, but they're certainly not in position, and now RP is pretty much up and available, 1 second away. There you go. Even has an Echo Saber up. Analog. Gonna kind of reveal himself there with the Wild Axes, but will look to reposition as his team is not all there. Heroic are in fact taking the T2 top tower. Bach will move in, trying to go after Whisper, does cancel the skewer off with the Yule Scepter, so Whisper is forced to BKB up and just try to run, but the chase is on. They really want this Magnus dead. They know he's the big problem. Whisper, he'll pop the RP. It only connected on nothing to say, but it might be just enough for Yuma to try and burst him down. Nothing to say. Oh, look at the damage, Lord. Jonathan. It's too much. Oh, and the neutrals. The neutrals stunned them. Neutrals MVP, John. They ravaged.
Yeah. You gotta love those tendrils.
Bucks,
another toss.
Buck around again. Rename him to Ball, John. It's only 2 letters.
I'd like that. You know, maybe Bach can do it for a laugh as the GG's call 27 minutes in.
Who paid the neutrals?
It's all skill, Mike, you know? You drag in 2 heroes there, you cast a spell, you get hit by the tendrils of the deep, and you're in for a bad time. Tidebound, you know, they go for that Dusa. They try to make it work after playing against it.